Hello everyone and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Willow's sense went out the window as Sasha unleashed her fury on Cody. Willow asked Nina whether she had seen Carly as soon as she got to the gatehouse. Nina hadn't, but she found the enhanced security at the gate fascinating. When Nina informed Willow that she no longer felt she should live with her, Willow was taken aback. "I think you're exactly where you need to be," Nina replied. After everything that had happened during the past month, Nina felt that Willow and the children needed some time to relax in their own house. Recalling that she had kissed Drew earlier, Willow declared, "I think I can make it work." The conversation shifted to Carly's visit and her disappearance. The fact that Carly didn't even say goodbye struck Nina as odd. Carly, more worried that Drew was still pursuing his nephew's wife, seemed indifferent when he informed her patronizingly at the Metro Court, "Jason knocked up Sasha Corbin, you know, the family cook." Drew claimed that he and Willow were adults and could do as they pleased while the other diners in the cafe listened. Sasha had enough after Drew hinted that she and Jason were not in a consenting relationship while he and Willow were. She was initially shocked when he claimed to have obtained this information from Cody. Secondly, he was protruding his nose in inappropriate places. "This is my life you're talking about, and it's none of your damn business," she correctly yelled at Drew. "Go ahead and make a disaster of your own life. And hey, Willow's too, 'cause as you said, you are both adults. But you should keep your theories about me and my child to yourself," Sasha replied. When Drew tried to apologize to Sasha, she refused to listen. She said, "Leave us the hell alone," and then hurried away. But Carly wasn't finished. When Drew accused Carly of starting this, Carly retorted that Drew never accepts responsibility for anything. "It's not my fault that Jason isn't the angel you thought he was," Drew replied. "This isn't about Jason," Carly said. "What right did you have to invade Sasha's privacy, inserting yourself into a situation that has nothing to do with you?" she inquired. Tracy wanted to know how Drew got onto Monica's property, but the Deception ladies thought the conversation was fascinating. "He's an ex-Navy SEAL, Granny," Brooke Lynn said rationally. But Lucy just wanted to discuss the alleged sex between Jason and Sasha. Tracy was unconcerned. There was something she had to go take care of. Brooke Lynn ran after her grandmother in terror. Willow was about to be chewed out by Tracy, when Brooke Lynn volunteered to speak to her quietly instead. Tracy grudgingly accepted Brooke Lynn's recommendation. As promised, Brooke Lynn ran breathlessly into Willow's living room and filled her in on the details of the public altercation at the Metro Court that revealed Sasha's pregnancy and Willow's affair. When Brooke Lynn informed Willow that Carly had located Drew's tie there, Willow became agitated. Brooke Lynn said, "Willow, what were you thinking?" Willow told Brooke Lynn and Nina that she was an adult and could do as she pleased in her own home, repeating Drew nearly verbatim without regard for what others thought. Willow, like Drew, defended herself when Brooke Lynn informed her that the conditions of her staying there stated "No Drew. That's why we were discreet," Willow explained. Apparently, not discreet enough, Nina muttered to herself. Brooke Lynn was still unable to understand. There were a million places you could have met up with Drew. Why here? Why wave a red flag at Tracy? Brooke Lynn responded. Willow asked Nina if she could live with her again after deciding she was done at the gatehouse. By now, Brooke Lynn and Nina were both frustrated. With a sigh, Brooke Lynn attempted to reason with Willow. "Can you just take a step back for a second and recognize what is going on here? My family is not the problem. Drew is. Ever since you got involved with him, your entire life has fallen apart and everything happened so fast. Willow, you need to think now." Willow had sex with Drew on the playroom floor while his daughter sobbed in the adjacent room, but she had already moved past the moment of contemplation on the night of Sam's death. Willow remarked, "You're just like the rest of them, out to make Drew the bad guy," pointing out the fallacious belief that he saved her life after Holly saved Willow's bone marrow after he was knocked out in Greenland. Nina intervened and attempted to help her daughter reach the brink of sanity since Brooke Lynn was at a loss for words. "Willow, your life has shifted dramatically very quickly. Your marriage is over. Don't you think you deserve to take a little time alone and figure out where you want your life to go now?" she softly said. Willow concurred that she really needed to solve the problem. That was a relief to Nina and Brooke Lynn, but Willow then added, "But I don't need to stay away from Drew to do it. Felicia and Anna talked about what had recently transpired back at the Metro Court. The fact that Cody had previously informed Anna that Jason was Sasha's baby daddy captivated Felicia. Felicia, astonished, summed up the whole strange situation. Can you imagine Jason Morgan as the father of Robert's grandchild? Who would have the bigger stroke? Mac or Robert, she asked. Anna didn't know how to respond. I have to say I do not hate it. Maxie and Lulu wanted to concentrate on their work, but Lucy was feeling very emotional after seeing Jason and Sasha together. It was crazy. I love it. I love spectacles, especially when I am not the center of it, she stated. Drew, a little tipsy, came to their table and asked if his ears should burn. Lucy deadpanned, actually, your entire head should be burning. Taking Drew away, Maxie shared her thoughts with him. I feel bad for Michael. I know he's a good dad. And I know he loves Willow. And I don't think it was cool to pull Sasha into that drama out there, she stated. Drew shifted the topic after agreeing with the last part. He requested Maxie's decorating assistance because he had purchased a home for himself and Scout to reside in. She was shocked that he had purchased such a large home for only 2 people, but she agreed to assist. In the Q kitchen, Cody located Dante and inquired whether he had seen Sasha. Dante hadn't, but his expression was thoughtful as well. Upon noticing, Cody inquired about his friend's condition. Cody was stunned to learn that Dante was now on paid leave, and that Sam had been murdered. There's a killer walking around loose and Anna sent me home 'cause she thinks I'm too close, stated Dante. Cody concurred with Anna. Dante was still inconsolable. I have to take action since I was unable to save her, and the only option left to me is to pursue the son of the person who killed her. I read about life, Molly said, interrupting their conversation when she went into the kitchen to find Danny. Dante went to get him, leaving Molly and Cody alone in a room together. I was sorry to hear the news about Sam, Cody said, adding that he had always been impressed by Sam's free-spirited personality. She said, Sam lived it. Molly left with her nephew after Dante returned with Danny. Dante told Cody that he hadn't told Danny about Sam because he didn't think it was his place. Cody suggested that Dante could help Sam by simply being there for Danny. Dante mentioned that Danny had a father, so Cody answered, a worthless one. Before Sasha entered to speak with her loud-mouthed cousin, a bewildered Dante wanted to know why Cody felt that way about Jason. Sasha wasted no time in scolding Cody, saying, where the heck do you get off telling everyone that Jason was the father of my baby? Cody defended himself when she angrily asked, it wasn't everyone, and he is, isn't he? Where did you acquire the impression that Jason is the father? Sasha wanted to know why Cody was behaving out like this. Who fathered my child is nobody's business but mine, she stated. She inquired, and Cody replied that he had seen her with Jason at the boathouse and had taken a careful look. Both Sasha and Cody acknowledged that they hadn't responded well to finding out they were cousins, but Cody kept saying things like, is that why you slept with Jason? Sasha became even more irritated when he asked, and Cody left right before Tracy entered, asking Sasha to listen to her. Sasha replied, that's basically what you did to Willow, to which Tracy replied, the point is nobody is going to take your baby away from you. Tracy stated she agreed that it was her life, and that she didn't have to inform anyone who the father of her child was. That was really different. When Michael wasn't around to defend them, she was attempting to keep those kids away from this family, but she assured them you can fight and you will with my full support. Every woman has a right to live her life on her own terms, Tracy said, and Sasha thanked her. She was surprised to hear that Tracy had raised her younger son, Dylan, alone. The baby daddy speculation is going to get a little awkward when Jason gets home, so if I were you, I'd have a game plan, Tracy advised Sasha. Liz was dancing romantically with Elizabeth in her living room when the door was knocked on. To Lucky's dismay, Liz opened it to discover Rick standing there with good news. Liz had been reinstated at the hospital. Elizabeth thanked Rick, but Lucky wasn't as kind. Just caved because they want you to go away and I can relate, Lucky told Rick. Can you find out the specific terms of Cyrus Renault's parole? Lucky said before Rick left. He inquired. Lucky even offered to pay Rick for his time, so Rick agreed to do it for Liz pro gratis. Liz told Rick that discovering that information would be a personal favor to her, but he was not allowed to ask any questions. When Lucky was by himself, he told Elizabeth that he would pursue Cyrus on his own, But Liz wanted to be involved, so they planned to frame him to ensure that he was back in prison, where he belonged. Alexis requested Molly to pick him up at the QS and take him to her house because she was prepared to tell Danny what had actually happened to Sam, but Christina objected. Danny is a boy of 15 years old. We can't even identify the murderer, so how is he meant to handle the reality that his mother was killed? She inquired. Christina believed that Sonny could assist in identifying Sam's murderer, but Alexis pointed out that they couldn't wait to tell him indefinitely. The Davis women prepared to confront Sonny when Molly returned with Danny. Alexis did not want Sonny involved. Sam deserves more than vigilante justice, she said, reminding Christina that Sam never hid from the truth. We owe it to your sister to handle her son the way she would have, Alexis said. Cyrus claimed that the hospital was public property, so Brad urged him to leave as soon as he saw him at GH. Doctor, you're not welcome here, Robinson. Go, or I'll call the police, Brad insisted. Brad's response to Cyrus' assertion that he was only sharing the word of God was, share this. When everyone knows you are a drug dealer and murderer, you are the biggest hypocrite hiding behind your pamphlets and prayers. After debating with Brad for a while, Cyrus finally scowled at him and walked away. Carly was later discovered by Lucas wandering the hospital corridors. Telling her that Jack had been there earlier as his patient, he dragged her into an examination room. Lucas said, "You didn't tell me that you flew home on a WSB jet." Lucas requested additional details. Lucas wanted to know what had transpired in Germany, so he inquired, "Are you dating a WSB agent?" Carly said, "Maybe I am." It was simple. Very nice. Until Valentine showed up and tried to kill Jack, and I had to save his life, Carly said quietly. Lucas compared Jack's manner of life to Sonny's and advised Carly to avoid him. Carly chuckled at the notion, but Lucas persisted and urged his sister to exercise objectivity. Jocelyn attempted to enter Cyrus's chamber. To get the super to let her in, she pretended to be a part of his redemption mission. Jocelyn raided Cyrus's belongings. Until she noticed the Bible on his bedside, she had little luck. She reached for the link he had bookmarked, but before she could read it, the super came back. Jocelyn hurried off. When Cyrus came back, he discovered a dried flower in his Bible, which indicated that someone had visited his room. According to General Hospital spoilers, Cyrus Renault's family allegiance might be his undoing. If Cyrus attempts to remove her nephew Brad Cooper, Selena Wu will retaliate with a deadly blow. Brad's back is a target. When Brad saw Cyrus in the hospital, where he knew he didn't belong, in a recent GH episode, he confronted him and threatened to call the police. Brad informed Cyrus that he had been officially barred by Co-Chief of Staff Portia Ashford, but Cyrus still offered some justifications for his presence. However, if appearances could kill, Cyrus's eyes were shooting lethal daggers, so it's clear what he had planned. Cyrus is now even more furious since he is unable to continue his mission of mercy murder with hospital patients. Although he had a brilliant concept, director Paul Ferner refused to tell him who was disseminating false information about him, and he was also officially barred from turning woods. Cyrus plans to kill Brad, but he will need to be cunning. Given that he works in the hospital lab and has access to the digitalis there, Cyrus mulls over whether to kill Brad or frame him, though sadly not as much as she does for Brad. Cyrus has been surreptitiously skulking, and is aware of Portia's mistrust of him. Getting to the scrubs and masks to disguise himself has been simple thus far, and Cyrus is well versed with the hospital's layout from his time as an administrator. Cyrus is also aware that the hospital no longer has any security cameras because he removed them all, and they have never been put back in. Cyrus is wiser than he appears, and even if they were, he knows how to disable them and make sure none are operational when he slips in and out. Cyrus makes the decision to break up with Brad, and he believes it would be simple because he is such a little scaredy cat and no one would know that he is having a heart attack. The medical staff is on Cyrus's trail since he knows that Michael Corinthos avoided his kiss of death. Neither Elizabeth Baldwin's nor Jocelyn Jack's probing helps. However, Brad has irritated him so much that he must get rid of him first. Jocelyn and Elizabeth will follow. This time, however, he must adopt a different strategy since he must alter his method of operation. Since he is out of henchmen to kill and cannot afford to be a person of interest in killing Brad, he decides to use a different kind of poison. Cyrus can easily sneak into the hospital break room and put a lethal poison in Brad's drink. This time it's a different fast-acting substance, not digitalis of course. Brad's symptoms don't appear right away, but that's on plan because there needs to be some time between administration and death. When Brad becomes critically ill, he is with his Aunt Selena. He manages to gasp Cyrus before he faints, which makes Selena furious. Fortunately for Brad, he lives. Since Brad has never used N4, toxicological testing is completed promptly, and at Portia's request, the appropriate antidote is given via 4 while PCPD stands watch. Cyrus, on the other hand, was discovered dead abruptly after being shot up with digitalis by Selena's goon. For example, it was the day of Curtis Ashford and Portia Robinson's wedding 2 years ago, and as you may remember, things didn't work out that well. However, everything works out in the end, right? Regretfully, there are rumors that certain important couples on the Port Chuck scene won't survive the month. How do you feel about their relationships ending? Who are they? Harrison Chase and Brooke Lynn Quartermaine are doomed. Harrison Chase and Brooke Lynn Quartermaine's once fantastical romance. Do you recall those wonderful times when Chase's lovely eyes and heartfelt vocals were lulling Brooke Lynn? It appears that the music has ceased, and not voluntarily. There are rumors that Chase won't be able to cope with Brooke Lynn's hidden history. If she had been honest with him and told him earlier, perhaps he might have processed this information. He might not be able to handle the fact that someone else, including someone close to him, already faces reality now that he is aware that he cannot conceive Brooke Lynn. Drew Kane and Willow Tate are about to crash land. After surviving a great deal of hostility, Willow Tate and Drew Kane were expected to be the next power couple. Unfortunately, love in Port Charles is rarely simple. You would think they would be safe now that Willow's health issue is over and Drew is winning his congressional seat. False. Willow still hasn't heard from Drew about his continued affair with her mother, Nina Reeves, until recently. It won't be good no matter how she finds out. Carly Spencer and Jack Brennan fade quickly. Finally, GH fans are enamored with Jack Brennan and Carly Spencer's fast-paced romance. Wasn't this card always a little bit of a wild card? They seem to have a chemistry that might light up the screen. But up until this point, their connection has been more of a spark than a blaze. Carly feels more like she's in a spy thriller than a love tale because of Jack's secretiveness and his involvement in some dubious activities at the WSB. Given her history of ending relationships more quickly than she can flip a pancake at Kelly's, it is reasonable to question whether this cycle will be sustainable. Sasha had held it in for too long. The pain, the grief, the betrayal. All of it had simmered beneath the surface, waiting for the moment to erupt. And now here it was. She stood face to face with Cody, her fists clenched at her sides, her breathing heavy as she prepared to let loose all the fury she had bottled up inside. How could you, she spat, her voice thick with emotion. How could you lie to me? Pretend to care? I trusted you, Cody. Cody's expression darkened with regret, but he held his ground. Sasha, I never meant to hurt you. You have to believe me. Believe you, she scoffed, laughing bitterly. I believed you once and look where that got me. You stood there day after day letting me think you were someone I could rely on, someone who actually gave a damn about me. But it was all a lie, wasn't it? Her voice cracked, betraying the anger she was barely containing. Cody ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his posture. It wasn't a lie, Sasha. I do care about you. I was just trying to protect you. Protect me. Sasha's eyes blazed. By keeping secrets? By making me look like a fool? No, Cody. That's not protection. That's manipulation. Cody took a step toward her, his hands raised as if to plead his case, but Sasha took a step back, refusing to let him close the gap between them. I can't do this, Cody. I can't keep getting hurt by people who say they care about me. First Brando, then Gladys. And now you. I won't let it happen again. Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She was stronger than this. She had to be. Turning her back on Cody, she forced herself to walk away, ignoring the ache in her chest as she left behind yet another person who had betrayed her trust. Meanwhile, across town, Willow was struggling with her own battle. Logic, reason, and every rational thought in her mind screamed at her to walk away, to not make the mistake she knew deep down she was about to make. But her heart, oh, her heart had other ideas. She had told herself she wouldn't let it come to this. That her love for Michael was enough. That their family was everything she had ever wanted. And yet, here she was, standing in front of someone she never expected to feel this way about. "This isn't right," she whispered, more to herself than to the person standing before her. "I love Michael. I made a promise." "Then why are you here?" came the response, gentle but pointed. Willow swallowed hard. She didn't have an answer. At least, not one she was willing to say out loud. Because the truth terrified her. The truth was that, in this moment, she wasn't thinking about Michael. She wasn't thinking about their life together, their love, or even their future. She was only thinking about the way this other person made her feel. Alive, wanted, understood in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. She knew she should walk away. She knew this was dangerous. But as her sense went out the window, she took a step forward instead of back, making a choice she knew could change everything. Will family loyalty end? Cyrus. Selena strikes back after Brad attack? In the cutthroat world of power, wealth, and influence, family loyalty is often both a strength and a weakness. It can bind individuals together in unbreakable unity, or it can become the very chain that drags them into the abyss of betrayal and destruction. The question of whether family loyalty will end Cyrus, and whether Selena will strike back after the shocking attack on Brad, is one that delves deep into the intricate web of relationships, ambitions, and vendettas that define their lives. This is a story of love and hate, of trust and treachery, and of the lengths to which people will go to protect their own, or to destroy them. The foundation of family loyalty. Cyrus has always been a man who prided himself on his unwavering loyalty to his family. From a young age, he was taught that blood is thicker than water, that family comes before all else. This belief was instilled in him by his parents, who themselves were products of a world where alliances were forged through kinship, and where betrayal was the ultimate sin. For Cyrus, family loyalty was not just a value. It was a way of life, a code by which he lived and breathed. But as Cyrus rose to power, he began to realize that loyalty is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it earned him the unwavering support of his siblings, who stood by him through thick and thin. On the other hand, it made him vulnerable, as his enemies knew that the best way to hurt him was to target those he loved. And so when Brad, his youngest brother, was brutally attacked, Cyrus found himself facing a dilemma that would test the very core of his beliefs. The attack on Brad, a catalyst for chaos. Brad was always the golden child of the family, charismatic, ambitious, and full of potential. While Cyrus was the strategist, the one who worked behind the scenes to secure the family's power, Brad was the face of the family, the one who charmed the public and forged alliances with ease. But Brad's success also made him a target, and when he was attacked in what appeared to be a calculated move by a rival faction, the family was thrown into chaos. The attack left Brad critically injured, and the family was left reeling. For Cyrus, the attack was not just an assault on his brother. It was an assault on the very foundation of his family's power. It was a message, a declaration of war, and Cyrus knew that he could not let it go unanswered. But as he began to plot his revenge, he found himself grappling with a question that had haunted him for years. How far was he willing to go to protect his family? Selena's role. A force to be reckoned with. Enter Selena, Cyrus's sister and a woman who has always been a force to be reckoned with. While Cyrus was the strategist and Brad the charmer, Selena was the enforcer, the one who ensured that the family's enemies thought twice before crossing them. Selena had always been fiercely loyal to her family, but her loyalty came with a price. She demanded the same level of commitment in return, and she had little patience for weakness or indecision. When Brad was attacked, Selena's response was immediate and unyielding. She saw the attack as a direct challenge to the family's authority, and she was determined to strike back with a vengeance. But Selena's approach was different from Cyrus's. While Cyrus preferred to work in the shadows, carefully planning his moves and weighing the consequences, Selena believed in direct action. She wanted to send a clear message to their enemies, that the family would not be intimidated, and that any attack on one of their own would be met with swift and brutal retaliation. The clash of ideals. Cyrus versus Selena. As Cyrus and Selena began to formulate their response to the attack on Brad, their differing approaches quickly led to tension. Cyrus argued for caution, believing that a hasty response could escalate the conflict and put the family in even greater danger. He wanted to gather intelligence, identify the perpetrators, and strike only when they had the upper hand. But Selena saw this as a sign of weakness. She believed that the family's enemies would only grow bolder if they were not met with immediate and overwhelming force. The clash between Cyrus and Selena was not just a difference in strategy. It was a clash of ideals. For Cyrus, family loyalty meant protecting his siblings at all costs, even if it meant holding back and playing the long game. For Selena, family loyalty meant standing up for her siblings and ensuring that the family's enemies paid for their actions, no matter the cost. As the tension between them grew, it became clear that their differing views could tear the family apart. The question of loyalty. Will it end Cyrus? As the family grappled with the aftermath of Brad's attack, the question of loyalty loomed large. For Cyrus, the attack was a stark reminder of the dangers of his position. He had always believed that his loyalty to his family would protect him, but now he was beginning to see that it could also be his downfall. His enemies knew that the best way to hurt him was to target his family, and as long as he remained loyal to them, he would always be vulnerable. But for Selena, loyalty was non-negotiable. She believed that the family's strength lay in their unity, and that any sign of division would only embolden their enemies. She saw Cyrus's hesitation as a betrayal of the family's values, and she was determined to take matters into her own hands. As she began to rally support among the family's allies, it became clear that her actions could have far-reaching consequences. Selena strikes back, a reckoning. In the end, it was Selena who struck the first blow. Ignoring Cyrus's warnings, she launched a daring attack on the rival faction responsible for Brad's assault. The attack was swift and brutal, leaving no doubt that the family would not be trifled with. But while Selena's actions sent a clear message to their enemies, they also deepened the rift between her and Cyrus. Cyrus was furious. He believed that Selena's actions had put the family in even greater danger, and he feared that her recklessness could lead to all-out war. But Selena was unrepentant. She believed that she had done what was necessary to protect the family, and she was willing to face the consequences. As the tension between them reached a boiling point, it became clear that the family's loyalty was being tested like never before. The fallout. A family divided. The fallout from Selena's attack was immediate and far-reaching. The rival faction, now reeling from the assault, began to regroup and prepare for retaliation. Meanwhile, within the family, the divide between Cyrus and Selena grew wider. Cyrus found himself increasingly isolated, as many of the family's allies rallied behind Selena, impressed by her boldness and determination. But Cyrus knew that their enemies would not rest until they had exacted their revenge, and he feared that the family's unity was crumbling at the worst possible time. As the conflict escalated, Cyrus was forced to confront the possibility that his loyalty to his family could be his undoing. He had always believed that family came first, but now he was beginning to see that blind loyalty could be just as dangerous as betrayal. He knew that if the family was to survive, they would need to find a way to bridge the divide between him and Selena. But with tensions running high and the stakes higher than ever, it was unclear whether that would be possible. The ultimate sacrifice. A test of loyalty. In the end, it was Brad who brought the family back together. As he recovered from his injuries, he made it clear that he did not want to see the family torn apart by infighting. He reminded Cyrus and Selena of the values that had always held them together, and he urged them to put aside their differences for the sake of the family. His words struck a chord, and for the first time in weeks, Cyrus and Selena found common ground. But the road to reconciliation was not easy. Both Cyrus and Selena had to make difficult choices, and both had to confront the possibility that their loyalty to the family might require them to make the ultimate sacrifice. For Cyrus, that meant letting go of his need for control and trusting Selena to lead the family in the fight against their enemies. For Selena, it meant tempering her desire for revenge and working with Cyrus to find a solution that would protect the family without plunging them into all-out war. A new chapter. Loyalty redefined. In the end, the family emerged from the crisis stronger than ever, but not without scars. The attack on Brad had tested their loyalty in ways they had never imagined, and it had forced them to confront the darker side of their values. But it had also shown them that loyalty, when tempered with wisdom and compassion, could be a source of strength rather than a weakness. As for Cyrus, he came to realize that family loyalty was not just about protecting his siblings. It was also about trusting them to make their own choices, even when those choices were difficult. And for Selena, She learned that loyalty was not just about standing up for her family. It was also about standing with them, even when it meant putting aside her own desires. In the end, the question of whether family loyalty would end Cyrus was answered not with a definitive yes or no, but with a deeper understanding of what loyalty truly means. It is not just a bond that ties us to our loved ones. It is a responsibility, a commitment, and a choice. And in the face of adversity, it is that choice that defines who we are and what we stand for. 3 Port Charles couples won't make it past Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is supposed to be a time for love, romance, and happily ever afters. But in Port Charles, relationships are anything but predictable. While some couples will be basking in the glow of their love, others will find themselves facing heartbreak, betrayal, and irreconcilable differences. The drama is set to explode, and 3 couples in particular won't make it past this romantic holiday. Let's take a deep dive into these relationships and explore why they are destined to fail before February 14th is over. 1. Nina Reeves and Sonny Corinthos, a love built on lies. From the moment Nina Reeves and Sonny Corinthos embarked on their relationship, it was fraught with complications. Their love story began in Nixon Falls, where Sonny, suffering from amnesia, found solace in a new identity. When he regained his memories and returned to Port Charles, he faced the wrath of his family for having fallen in love with Nina, the very woman who kept him from his life. Their relationship has weathered many storms, but the trust between them has always been fragile. Recently, the cracks have widened, and Nina's actions have made it nearly impossible for them to sustain a future together. Her scheming ways, particularly her role in turning Carly and Drew into the SEC, have put her in a precarious position. Once Sonny learns the full extent of her betrayal, he may find it impossible to forgive her. Additionally, Sonny's ties to Carly remain strong, despite his attempts to move on. Carly has been a constant in his life, and his protective instincts towards her have never faded. With his relationship with Nina built on deception and growing resentment, their love story seems doomed to implode before Valentine's Day even arrives. 2. Spencer Cassadine and Trina Robinson, a romance doomed by family feuds. Spencer Cassadine and Trina Robinson have captivated fans with their slow-burning love story, but the forces working against them may prove to be too much. While their connection is genuine, Spencer's entanglement with his family's dark legacy remains a significant roadblock. His loyalty to his grandmother, Laura, and his conflicted feelings towards his father, Nicholas, and great-uncle, Victor Cassadine, often put Trina in the crossfire. Trina is an independent and strong-willed woman who refuses to be pulled into the Cassadine chaos. While she loves Spencer, she cannot ignore the constant threats and dangers that come with being associated with his family. Esme Prince, the mother of Spencer's younger brother, continues to be a lingering issue, as her presence in their lives has created tension and uncertainty. Moreover, Spencer's obsessive need to protect Ace, his baby brother, has caused him to put Trina second on multiple occasions. While Trina understands his sense of duty, she cannot keep playing second fiddle to a battle that isn't hers to fight. As Valentine's Day approaches, the emotional strain will reach its breaking point, and Trina may decide that love isn't enough to keep her tethered to the chaos that surrounds Spencer. 3. Brooke Lynn Quartermaine and Harrison Chase, too many lies, not enough trust. Brooke Lynn Quartermaine and Harrison Chase have had a roller coaster of a relationship, marked by miscommunication, secrets, and betrayals. While they have undeniable chemistry, trust has never been their strong suit. Brooke Lynn's past deceptions, including her deal with her grandmother to manipulate Chase's career, have made it difficult for him to fully believe in her sincerity. Though Chase loves Brooke Lynn, he has struggled with her inability to be upfront with him. Every time they seem to move forward, another lie or omission surfaces, pushing them back to square one. Their relationship has been built on shaky ground, and as Valentine's Day looms, their differences will become too big to ignore. Brooke Lynn, despite her best efforts, may not be capable of the transparency that Chase needs. Meanwhile, Chase is beginning to realize that love alone cannot sustain a relationship that lacks honesty. With resentment growing between them, their romance will likely come to an end before the holiday's romantic glow fades away. Final thoughts. Love in Port Charles is never simple.